Live from Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. President Tinubu pays tributes to fallen heroes and serving personnel as Nigeria marks Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Court strikes out defamation suit against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan as federal government withdraws charges. And polls close in Uganda presidential elections as electoral staff count ballots in election that held amid internet blackouts. In business, Nigeria's headline inflation rises to 15.15% in December 2025, indicating first increase in 8 months.
And in sports, Super Eagles manager Eric Shell hints Nigeria Football Federation will decide his future following his team's loss against Morocco.
Tonight begins now. Many thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the commemoration of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. President Bola Tinubu has paid tributes to Nigeria's armed forces, praising the courage and sacrifice of fallen heroes and serving personnel. This year's celebration, like in other parts of the country, held at the National Arcade in Abuja. News Central State House correspondent Bettina Uweli reports.
Today honors the memory of its fallen heroes as the nation marks the Armed Forces Remembrance Day with a solemn ceremony taking place in the Federal Capital Territory. The ceremony featured the wreath laying by the Vice President, service chiefs and the diplomatic corps, a 21-gun salute, the sounding of the last post, a minute of silence, and a military parade by the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Air Force and Legionnaires in honor of the fallen.
To the soldiers and the officers in the battlefield, I just have words of encouragement. You know, this is a service to the nation. It is a service to the whole country, and often it doesn't seem appreciated. People generally don't. It can be very discouraging because we don't get the appreciation that you see in other climes. And yet we have had a raging insurgency for several years now. Many women have not just lost their husbands, some have, even those whose husbands are alive, have had to raise the families alone. There's a lot of sacrifice.
Wives of fallen heroes appeal to the government for better support as the annual event is dedicated to remembering officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces who lost their lives in the service of the nation.
Widows are passing through a lot. It's not easy for us. Since we lost our husband, there is nothing, no help for anywhere. So we need federal government to assist us.
Losing our husband is like we've lost part of our lives. And since they are no more, life has never treated us well. It has been from one struggle, one hustle to the other. It has been from one problem to the other. As you're solving one, another one is coming up.
We see them, we hear them. As president of the POA in my office, I've made it clear to those I've met because I've just recently resumed. But I believe that, my predecessor and others have shown concern. Of course, there will be room for improvement, and we're there to listen. It's a journey that we're making together.
Forces Remembrance Day is observed across the country to celebrate bravery, selfless service, and sacrifice, while renewing the nation's commitments to peace and security. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Uweli.
Thank you, Bettina. Across northern Nigeria, many states marked the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day, honoring the courage and sacrifice of men and women in uniform. From Borno, Plateau, Kano to Kogi State, citizens, veterans, and officials gathered to pay tribute to the nation's heroes. News Central's Umaru Kirawa brings us highlight from the region.
The battle to maintain peace across the north, south, east and other parts of Nigeria is continuing. Since independence to date, the country has lost men and officers who paid the ultimate price in defense of the nation.
Remembering them alone is not enough. A lot of people have been saying it. We need to take care of the living. We need to take care of the dead ones left behind.
God has been there for us, is always with us and our children, and has been helping us also. We give him the glory.
States across northern Nigeria joined the rest of the country in marking the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day, honoring the bravery and sacrifices of men and women of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
Excellency has graciously approved the sum of 50 million naira for the 2026 Legion Emblem Week appeal, and also we reiterate our commitment to stand with the fallen heroes' family at all times.
In Kogi, Yobe, Kano and Plateau, the governments reaffirmed their commitment to support veterans, improving security collaboration and ensuring the welfare of those who serve the nation.
They asked only for a country worth protecting. Their blood watered the soil of our nation, and their sacrifice remains the foundation upon which our peace is built.
We remember them, we pray for them, those who have departed, and those who are serving, who sacrificed their discomfort for our own, so that we chart a new course for our country.
Military leaders used the occasion to reaffirm their commitment to professionalism, patriotism, and the protection of Nigeria's territorial integrity.
As we look forward ahead, we will remain committed to building an army that is combat ready, ethically grounded, and resilient. The Nigerian Army remains a force of good and has always remained a force of good that honors our past by succeeding in our present.
Prayers for lasting peace and renewed calls for citizens to support security agencies through timely intelligence and cooperation was also part of the suggestions across different parts of the region. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Our 21-gun salute and wreath-laying ceremony marked this year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Lagos, as Nigeria honored officers and men who paid the ultimate price defending the nation. Beyond the pageantry, concerns persist over widows of fallen soldiers, many of whom say promised entitlements remain unpaid. Victor Mbadike has the full report.
As every year, the ceremony reminds Nigerians of the sacrifices made by military personnel in defending unity, peace, and national stability. The 21-gun salute and wreath-laying were led by the Lagos State Governor's Deputy, Obafemi Hamzat, with state officials and senior military officers in attendance.
Comrades, we say thank you and God bless you, sir.
These gestures are the nation's symbolic thank you to its fallen heroes.
Just to show them that the nation is behind them and that we are praying for them and that we will do everything that it takes to always support them. Because they are fighting, they are risking their life to protect all of us, so we must do everything that it takes, and that's the message of the governor to them privately and publicly.
But amid the honors and tributes, the voices of widows of fallen soldiers tell a more painful story.
I am crying and I will keep crying. My husband died 10 years ago. Up till today, our group life insurance, which is entitled of, have not been paid. We have women of 12 years, 15 years. Me, I'm 10, 5 years, 2 years. We are begging. We've gone to Abuja, we have begged. Please, if you can help us, tell Nigerian government to pay our husband entitlement.
It was a sad, if I say I'm sad, I don't used to be sad, but that day, unforgettable. I will never forget till the day I will enter a grave and join him.
Most times when our husbands are not with us, of course, 90% of my, how many years now in marriage? 21 years, it has not been easy. They go to far places and seeing the children is a problem, and we at the war front, we know how it is. Not to talk of those that have lost their husbands in the course of the job.
As the ceremony comes to a close here in Lagos, today's Armed Forces Remembrance Day has once again highlighted not just the sacrifice of fallen heroes, but the responsibility to care for the families they left behind. For many widows, remembrance will only be complete when promises made are fulfilled. In Lagos, for News Central, Victor Mbadike.
We have a problem with promises in this country, don't we? Let's get some professional thoughts on this commemoration. We turn now to a retired Major General Olayinka Oshinowo. Thank you very much, sir, for being here with us. My first question is two-pronged. The first part is, beyond the funfair, the accolades and the announcement of figures that are being given to care for officers, what should this day, or should this day be of more than what we see today? And then the other part is, should we attach any importance to the fact that, considering the security situation in this country, the president was not physically there, even though he was duly represented?
Well, in my own perspective, I think today should go beyond just parades and speeches. We should look into the welfare of these widows. We live with them, we see what they go through. And when promises are not met, it doesn't give room for development within the families that are left behind. And I believe we should do more. The second question, even though the president was not there, he was represented, fully represented. And I believe whatever is done, whatever is said, he will definitely be giving a feedback.
Okay, let's talk about a bit more, rather, of on the welfare of widows of soldiers. I don't know if you saw that report by my colleague where the women lamented entitlement that has not been paid 10 years in, 12 years in. Is this something that you are aware of? And is there any idea as to how soon these allowances will be offset for these women?
Definitely, I don't know. Because I left service. When I left service, the group insurance was just being mooted. And I believe the insurance company should wake up to their responsibilities. You don't hold on insurance for 15, 20 years. In a sane climb, insurance are paid immediately. Why keep it for 12, 15, 10 years? I think the government should look into this. It's not a good thing. It's not palatable at all. If you are owing somebody money that is accruing to them, that they need to use to take care of the families, I hope those who are responsible, I know definitely the CDS, the minister, they will look into it as they have made their voices known.
Okay, let's talk about, because sometimes we seem to focus more on fallen veterans. While we celebrate their sacrifice and the work that they've done, there are still serving officers whose welfare, I mean, we've seen social media posts and videos of some officers complaining about the conditions of service. What are your thoughts, assessment of what this day could be used for, as against just this, oh, we'll take care of you? Is it possible for us to see actualities of how these soldiers and officers are being taken care of to make this day a little more palatable?
Well, if you are talking in terms of the terms and conditions of service, I know the armed forces have the harmonized terms and conditions of service, and I believe the system is really trying to make sure that the welfare of soldiers and officers are well taken care of. We have a lot of things to do. Housing is there, healthcare is there, a lot of things. One thing I must tell you, please, I don't believe in social media. If you are angry with the system, go to the system and tell them your peace of mind, not going on the social media. Yeah, what are you trying to look for? One thing I always tell my soldiers before I left service is that you were not forced to join this service. And if you are tired of the service, you can put in your paper and go home. Yes, things are hard, but I think that there's room for improvement, and I know people in charge.
I think you rightly pointed out there are some rules about the public conduct of officers. So the social media post, I know there's been concerns about that as well. Before we let you go, sir, there's been calls for making this day not just a commemoration, but a public holiday like we have for Independence Day, considering the history of the choice of this day, the end of the civilian war, and the celebration of fallen heroes?
Well, if the government decides to make the public holiday, I will applaud them. But will that one take care of things? Or just like to go on holiday? I would prefer that things are put in place properly for them instead of clamoring for a public holiday. Like today, I know in the barracks here in Jos, they have a work-free day today. But I don't think making it a public holiday day for the country, yes, it might be okay, but in my opinion, I would prefer that things are done properly for these people instead of going on holiday.
I mean, there were full commentaries on that, advocating for making the day a public holiday, but I guess that's your thought. Your final considerations for this day, what would you want serving soldiers and those who have lost their comrades to have at the back of their mind, especially as we fight this hydra-headed security situation in the country?
Well, my advice for those who are still serving is to keep the flag flying. We have all lost friends, we have lost relations, we have lost sons. And when you lose somebody close to you, you feel it. But what else can we do? We still have to soldier on, especially with the current situation in the country. And one thing I would say is, I give kudos to the soldiers and officers who are facing this insecurity in the country. My heart are with them.
Thank you very much, Major General, for speaking with us. We appreciate your time. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan says Senate President Godswill Akpabio is yet to drop defamation charges against her. We'll tell you more after the break. Good to know you're still with us. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu pays tributes to fallen heroes and serving personnel as Nigeria marks Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Court strikes out defamation suit against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan as federal government withdraws charges. And polls close in Uganda presidential election as electoral staff count ballots in an exercise that held amid internet blackouts. As campaigns gather momentum ahead of the FCT Area Council elections, attention is shifting beyond party promises to the everyday realities facing residents. In Kwali Area Council, issues of basic infrastructure, economic survival, and access to public services are shaping voter expectations. I'm now joined by News Central's correspondent Joshua Imaraye ahead of next month's election. Joshua, can you tell us firsthand what you figure the plight of Abuja residents are as they prepare for the coming election?
Good evening, and thank you for having me on the show tonight. What I saw in Kwali Area Council was that out of the 10 political wards in Kwali Area Council, none of those wards have had light since November last year. This is the plight of so many of the locals there, particularly those who have to rely on the electricity for their businesses, those who have to rely on the electricity for their livelihood. Everything has been grounded down. They have to rely on generating set for power. But beyond that, we are also seeing the ripple effect of lack of electricity on the provision of basic water supply, because these same individuals have to rely on private boreholes, private water plants for them to get water, and they have to trek distance from their houses, sometimes 15 to 20 minutes distance, before they could access good and clean drinking water. But beyond that, we are also seeing that some of the primary health care there seems to lack the basic amenities for them to function well, to cater for the need of those in that community. So many things were wrong with the particular health facility I visited in Big Cheddar, that you could see that some of the soakaways were bad, and those people who were taken as patients in that health facility could not use the toilet in some of the wards. Some of the wards, the male ward had 2 beds, the female ward has 3 beds, the delivery unit 1 bed. But unfortunately for the pediatric session, the place was completely dilapidated. So these were some of the things we saw, and even access roads to some of these communities were bad. Residents, locals were complaining that these areas that are mostly agrarian areas, where most of the locals owe their livelihoods to agriculture, to bring their produce outside some of the farmlands and some of the farming settlement has become some sort of challenging for them. So those were the things we saw in Kwali area.
I mean, what are the campaign rhetoric you're hearing in light of the evidence before you that these people are living in really bad conditions? What are the campaign comments you're hearing in terms of solution to these problems that may get the people interested enough to participate in the exercise?
Well, most of the things that these individuals have been promised is continuity, the same promise, recycled promise over the years. But at the end of the day, these rhetorics don't play out to materialize into actionable solutions to solve these immediate problems that those locals are facing. I spoke to a gentleman who's a photographer in one of the communities, and he's a non-indigenous of that place, a Yoruba man, who told me that most times when intervention come, they come in handouts like motorcycles, vehicles, but the roads that those vehicles and motorcycles will ply, those roads are not in good solution. And he is saying that handouts do not solve the problem. What solves the problem is addressing the issues head on and preferring solutions that will be long lasting. So this is what they are saying.
Joshua, thank you very much. But it does seem like the picture you paint is at variance to the Abuja that we tend to see on socials. Thank you for the coverage. We continue our coverage of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. This 2026 edition in the South and Southeastern region of Nigeria concluded with a solemn ceremony, which included the laying of wreaths at the ceremonial tombs of the unknown soldiers in each state capital. News Center's Austin Azu brings us a compilation of various events in both regions.
Fallen heroes, including veterans, were honored with a solemn assembly at various designations
as part of activities marking the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration in the South and Southeast regions of Nigeria. At the Aburosi Cenotaph in Umuahia, Abia State, Governor Alex Oti led others to lay with at the ceremonial tomb of the unknown soldier.
We are therefore encouraged to learn to be as courageous as our compatriots who have chosen the path of military service, and to live by the principles that support character building, provides ethical compass in decision making, and confer legitimacy on institutions.
The ceremony remains the same in Edo State, South, where the governor, Senator Monday Okpebolo, led others at the museum ground of Averami Square, Benin City, to pay their respects by laying wreaths to honor the fallen heroes.
I also believe that the people that are serving Nigeria, they can see how Nigerians are honoring our heroes. So I also believe that with time, that God will preserve Nigeria to continue to honor them.
In Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, the state government hosted a humanitarian outreach for veteran soldiers and fallen heroes' families in the state.
We're humbled by their sacrifice and inspired by your resilience. On behalf of the government and the people of Rivers State, I thank our veterans, their family, and the families of our fallen heroes from Rivers State, and assure them that we will never forget their heroic legacy of service and sacrifice to the motherland. As a nation, we must continue to honor our promise to celebrate our armed forces and to honor their legacy of service and sacrifice.
In Delta State, Governor Sheriff Oborewori, service commanders and others honored Nigeria's fallen heroes with the laying of wreaths at the ceremonial tomb of the unknown soldier at the cenotaph in Asaba.
As they grow older, there are a lot of health challenges, and the arrangement made by the government for health challenges of this is not adequate. In other countries, they have retired military officers hospital where they are treated, but now even with the so-called free medical treatment, if you go to the hospitals, you only pay, what is free is only for the consultation. Every other thing, tests, drugs, we pay.
One of the things that we can do to encourage even those that are alive, who are probably protecting our territory, is to have a good legislation that will include incentives for the families of the foreign heroes. When you do that, and those who are alive, who are probably protecting the territory, they will be motivated and they will be encouraged, knowing that if they die while serving the nation, that their families will never suffer.
A minute silence was observed in honor of the fallen heroes, followed by interfaith prayers offered by Christian and Muslim clerics, the repose of the souls of the departed heroes, and sustenance for the families they left behind, and divine guidance for the nation's leadership.
Fill our leaders with zeal for the task.
Highlights of the ceremony were the firing of gunshots and the release of white pigeons by the governors, symbolizing peace, hope, and renewal. In Delta for News Central, Austin Azu.
Still ahead, for a second time in 1 week, federal agent shoots Venezuelan immigrant in Minneapolis. Details shortly. An Abuja High Court in Maitama has struck out the criminal charge instituted by the federal government against Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, senator representing Kogi Central. Presiding Judge Chizoba Oji struck out the suit on Thursday following a notice of discontinuance filed by the federal government. West Idahosa Council to Akpoti-Uduaghan moved for the matter to be struck out following the prosecution's application for discontinuance. He also prayed the court to release all documents belonging to the defendant and her sureties, an application which the prosecution counsel did not oppose. The case was consequently struck out and Oji discharged the sureties. She also ordered that all their documents be returned to them.
Two federal government cases against me only proves what we've always known, that these cases were maliciously instigated by two individuals who misused power to their advantage in witch hunting an innocent person, which is myself. But I'd like to extend a sincere appreciation to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for having been briefed the truth and in his commitment to justice, ordered the discontinuance of the two cases. I have never doubted that Nigeria is a land of possibilities and that the truth somehow will always get one vindicated. So now I can actually rest and resume my work fully because it's been a whole lot.
Well, it's been an exciting challenge.
Meanwhile, the senator has disclosed that contrary to media reports, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, has yet to withdraw any of the legal actions he instituted against her. Akpabio had approached the court to challenge the female lawmaker's claim that he made sexual advances towards her. In one of the defamation suits that he filed to counter the claim, which he said was aimed at tarnishing his reputation, Akpabio sought not only a retraction and an apology, but also damages to the tune of 200 billion naira. The Senate President, while attending a church service on January 1, announced that he would instruct his lawyers to withdraw all the cases in court. Speaking to newsmen on Thursday, Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan revealed that the case is still pending against her. She spoke shortly after two separate charges which the federal government had filed against her were struck out. According to her, the cases struck out do not form part of the cases the Senate President had mentioned. And in Kogi State, the Governor Usman Ododo has begun the demolition of a notorious structure believed to be a criminal hideout in Idoji, Okene Local Government Area of the state. The structure, popularly known as Sambel Joint, was pulled down following what the government describes as credible intelligence linking the facility to criminal activities within the area. The demolition comes just hours after the Kogi State Government issued statement invalidating all fraudulently and illegally acquired properties across the state, declaring them null, void, and of no legal effect.
To carry out an action that is in the best interest of our people. You know, I was sworn in is to protect lives and livelihood of my people, and as such, I will always work to secure my people. This demolition you are seeing here today is to give our people the needed security they deserve. It's an example to everybody. If you harbor criminal, your house will go down. If you keep criminal, your house will go down.
Just wake up one morning and we see that some will of people who are terrorizing the community just come in. They just started doing work here that they want to take over some places. So it's the governor of the state that come out to support to help the community out. But we look so happy about the demolition.
Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, has denied reports claiming that the federal government has suspended the issuance of implementation guideline for Nigeria's new tax laws. Oyedele said the report, which quoted him as saying the process was paused due to uncertainty over the final version of the laws, was incorrect. Oyedele explained that while there are concerns about different versions of the tax laws currently in circulation, the government has not halted the process of preparing implementation guidelines. Away from our shores, Uganda's Electoral Commission says the presidential election was generally peaceful, with vote counting completed in many areas. Commission chairperson has urged candidates and supporters to remain calm as results are declared. The vote came amid an internet shutdown and widespread delays caused by technical failures as President Yoweri Museveni seeks to extend his nearly 4 decades in power. More than 21.6 million voters were registered, many of them young people grappling with unemployment.
The Commission notes the exercise has therefore been generally peaceful across the country. We once again salute the people of Uganda for having turned up in high numbers to elect their leaders and for conducting themselves in a peaceful manner and for bearing with us as the Commission. And now, as we talk now, the counting of votes in many places has been concluded. And the declaration of results or the tallying, the declaration of results, as the declaration of results gets underway, the Commission wishes to call on all candidates, their agents, and support.
Tensions escalated overnight in Minneapolis after another person was shot and wounded by federal agents, sparking fresh protests across the city. The incident comes just a week after a federal agent fatally shot and killed a woman in the same area, further infuriating residents and community leaders in a traditionally democratic stronghold. Witnesses say a crowd gathered late into the night, demanding answers and accountability from federal authorities. Protesters accused agents of using excessive force and called for an independent investigation into both shootings. Tonight returns with business, sports, and entertainment news. Nigeria's headline inflation rate rose to 15.15% in December 2025 from 14.45% in November. This is according to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. In its latest Consumer Price Index report released on Thursday, the Bureau said the CPI increased to 131.2 points in December, up from 130.5 points recorded in November. The NBS noted that the December year-on-year inflation rate reflected changes in the prices of goods and services across the economy. Earlier, the Statistician General of the Federation, Adeyemi Adeniro, had projected a temporary artificial spike in December's inflation figure, attributing it to a base year adjustment following the rebasing of the CPI, with December 2024 set as the reference point. Now, Nigeria has been removed from the European Union's list of high-risk jurisdictions, a development expected to ease trade, payment flows and investments between the country and Europe. According to Business Insider, the European Commission confirmed that Nigeria and 5 other African countries have strengthened their anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing frameworks, eliminating key strategic deficiencies. The reforms align Nigeria's financial system with international standards set by the Financial Action Task Force. Reacting to the announcement, Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, describes the decision as a major boost to investor confidence. Previously, the designation subjected Nigerian businesses and banks to enhanced scrutiny, slowing cross-border transactions and complicating investments. And at the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian exchange NGX, the benchmark NGX All-Share Index ASI shedding 714.66 points to close at 166,057.29, while the current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 106.32 trillion naira. Now let's check those indexes that we're tracking. Starting with the banking index, it ended the day with plus 0.78%, followed by insurance, which ended in the red at minus 0.24%. The oil and gas went further in the negative zone with minus 2.21%. It was not all gloom, as consumer goods and industrial goods ended positively with plus 0.33% and plus 0.01% respectively. And that does it for business. Okwe has the sports news.
Mixed reactions continue to follow Nigeria's semi-final loss to host Morocco last night at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. The Super Eagles were defeated 4-2 on penalties after a tense goalless draw that went into extra time at the Prince Mullah Abdullah Stadium. The match sparked debate over officiating, with statistics showing Nigeria committed 29 fouls to Morocco's 19. New Central's Onyechi Obaro took to the streets of Lagos to ask fans what they thought about the encounter.
Honestly, I would just say that Morocco deserved the win because towards the end of the match, that was when I would say Nigeria started playing a game, and honestly, and that was what happened. So if we had started as we did towards the end, I'm sure we wouldn't have gotten to penalties.
I think he was actually fatigued, but to my best of knowledge, he did not play penalties as he was supposed to play it. But for me, he could do better than that.
First, I want to commend our players, simply because when two teams are playing, surely somebody will take the cup. They tried their best, but it's a pity and so painful that Morocco used home advantage, you understand, to sit Nigerian footballers. You know, there are lots of penalty, free kick and the rest, which is meant for Nigerian team. The referee didn't give to them simply because of the home advantage.
Meanwhile, Super Eagles head coach Eric Shell has declared that his future lies in the hands of the Nigeria Football Federation following Nigeria's defeat to Morocco and their failure to reach the final of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Speaking after the encounter, Shell made it clear he remains eager to continue his work with the team, but acknowledged that the decision on his future lies with the Federation. Let's listen to Eric Shell.
During many years. So this job is very important to me. But you know, I'm not the boss. I just try to do my job. And today, the tournament is not finished, the AFCON is not finished. And we have a last game. And after, normally I will have some meeting with the NFF and we will decide something. But me now, actually, like I said, I'm the coach.
Super Falcons have been drawn in Group C of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations following the official draw conducted by the CAF earlier today. Now, the defending champions will face Zambia, Egypt, and Malawi in the group stage of the tournament, which will be hosted by Morocco. The 9-time African champions are targeting an unprecedented 10th WAFCON title after lifting the trophy in 2025 with a dramatic 3-2 final victory over host Morocco. The tournament will take place from March 17th to April the 3rd, 2026. That's all on Sports News tonight. Entertainment is next with Kate. I am Okwe Oluwa Adebari.
Tonight, in the world of entertainment, Nigeria's influence on the global music scene continues to soar as Irish star, Wizkid, Rema, Adekunle Gold, and Tiwa Savage have been officially shortlisted for the 2026 Mobile Awards, which will be held on March 26 in Manchester City. The Mobile Awards, Music of Black Origin, which celebrates excellence in black music and culture across the UK and beyond, have increasingly spotlighted Afrobeat over the years, a reflection of the genre's massive global reach. From chart-topping hits and sold-out world tours to major collaborations with international stars, Nigerian artists continue to push boundaries and redefine Africa's presence on the world stage. Still in the world of music, global music star Ed Sheeran has achieved another major career milestone as his hit song, Thinking Out Loud, officially surpasses 3 billion streams on Spotify. The track, released in 2014 as part of his album X, has remained a fan favorite for over a decade. Originally written as a love letter inspired by his then-girlfriend, the track was crafted with the intention of becoming a modern wedding anthem, and it delivered. Now, 10 years later, the track continues to prove its staying power, turning streams into career milestones. The song has also earned Ed Sheeran multiple awards, including a Grammy Award. Now, that's it on entertainment news for tonight. My name is Kate Adeogun.
A quick look at our headlines as we wrap things up. President Bola Tinubu has paid tribute to fallen heroes and serving personnel as Nigeria marked Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Court has struck out defamation suit against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan as federal government withdrew charges. We also brought you news that polls have closed in Uganda's presidential election as ballot counting is underway, an exercise that held amid internet blackouts. As always, your feedback is welcomed. Please share them using the details on your screen. You can follow us on social media at News Central TV, or you can catch us live on DSTV channel 422, Gold TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Apple TV, and on YouTube. Thank you very much for your kind attention as always. Have a good night.